Welcome back to Archer's World of Literature. This is my first ever book haul video. I would love to be able to do something like this towards the end of, every month, if I'm fortunate enough to get enough literature to sustain a worthy video. I was quite lucky to get quite a lot of books this month, as it was my birthday during the month of September, and everyone knows that reading is sort of the only thing that I do with my time, so I was quite fortunate to get quite a lot of books. So I'm hoping this video will be cool, fun, entertaining, whatever you want to get from it. I really hope that this will be something that you enjoy. So to start off with some gifts, I'll start with what I received from friends, from family. It was my 21st birthday, so we had a bit of a celebration. So I'm going to get straight into those. So yeah, starting off with the classics, I was fortunate enough to get my first Hemingway. So I have The Old Man and the Sea over here. And then I also received For Whom the Bell Tolls, also by Ernest Hemingway. I haven't read any of Hemingway's books. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting into these. These are some really nice editions, really nice covers. Moving on, I got, apologies if I'm saying this wrong, I got Epictetus or Epictetus. I think Epictetus sounds a little bit better. We have Discourses and Selected Writings. So Epictetus was a Greek Stoic and a freed slave. He ran a thriving philosophy school in Nicopolis in the early 2nd century AD. So these are about his discussions and philosophies. So really intrigued by this one, as I do like reading through, the Greek myths and philosophies as a foundation of, Western philosophy is, from the Greeks. I also received 2 lovely cloth bounds, which I was so grateful to receive. I have read this one, and I'm super excited to own it in these beautiful cloth bounds now. I think it only just came out. We have The Outsider, or The Stranger, by Albert Camus. This is a great book. You can smash through it in, a day or two. Super good. Camus, I actually just had a conversation recently with R.C. Walden about, the philosophies of Camus and how you can see throughout his work, if you place them in a certain order, you can actually see his different philosophies of humankind that he's sort of slowly revealing in all of his books. So this is a great one if you haven't read it. If you want to start getting into modern classics or classic literature, this is really cool. So next up, I have the gorgeous cloth-bound edition of The Aeneid by Virgil. Not entirely familiar with too much about Virgil's work or the Aeneid in particular, but I'm in love with this cloth-bound edition. These Penguin cloth-bound classics are to die for. They're beautiful, and I just love the yellow with the black imprint on the front. Can't wait to get into that one. Next up, we have some history books that I got gifted. First off, we have Neil Price's The Children of Ash and Elm, A History of the Vikings. So this one's another gorgeous Penguin history book, and this is just a massive exploration of the Nordic people, and I'm particularly fascinated with Nordic history. It's one of my favorite sort of cultures to read about, so super excited for this one. Next up, we have On the Origin of Species by Charles Darwin. This has been a lifelong goal of mine to read this. I think I've always been a little bit intimidated by the content, because I'm not really, literary people aren't, the best when it comes to science a lot of the time. So I've always it's always been a little bit daunting, but I'm hoping that it's going to be relatively easy to sort of slowly get through and learn a few new things. So I'm in love with this version as well. I'm not sure if the lighting will show that. Yeah. In love with that. So yes, thank you for that one as well, friends and family. So next up, we have books that I have purchased myself over the month of September. So starting off as usual with the classics and or fantasy, and then I'll get into the other things that I sort of different types of books I got. So firstly, I got my first Jack Kerouac book, On the Road, and this was recommended to me by R.C. Walden and Jaden Attard, the street poet. I actually just finished this today, and it was brilliant. It was Americana overload. It was just, his writing style is incredible. He just writes everything so descriptively and beautiful. So this was really, really fun. Just finished that one today. Next up, I got a few Ian McEwan books. I'm really interested to get into his work. I haven't heard too much about him, like what the actual content is about, but I was just, I'm a sucker for good covers, right? I'm just a sucker, and that's the pain of marketing. But so firstly, we have Nutshell. So this apparently is from the perspective of a fetus who witnesses his mother sort of committing adultery against her husband. So that one's going to be a really interesting read. I actually bought this one for a read along with my girlfriend, so we got a copy each. She managed to read it in about just under 2 hours, and I haven't even started it, so she's incredible. And then I also got Saturday with this bleak, sort of poignant cover here. It'll be interesting to see what that one's about. I work every Saturday, so hopefully it doesn't talk too much about Saturday. Nextly, we have Atonement, which, the description is a little bit haunting on this one, and I'm really excited for this. If the lighting is going to be good. That is Atonement. And then we have The Child in Time, also by Ian McEwan. These lovely vintage editions. Next up, this month I dipped my toes into Bukowski. If you follow me on Instagram at Archer's World of Literature, you will see my updates on my Bukowski journey, and I'm just in love. He's already become one of my favorite writers, period, full stop. So I actually entered this journey with Ham on Rye, and that was an incredible coming-of-age story, and I can't wait to follow the sort of his sort of literary documentation of his life, and through his alter ego, Henry Chinaski. Super, super fun. And then I picked up Hollywood by Bukowski. This is about him, trying to work on a film set, and, his adventures around Hollywood, I suppose. So, again, beautiful canon covers, these ones. Sorry if you can hear any noise in the background. My cat is just eating my charger over there. Next up, we picked up Voltaire's Candide, or Optimism. As a huge fan of the French Revolution history, I had to get this one, so I cannot wait to get into this. Next up, we got Lady Chatterley's Lover by Mr. D.H. Lawrence. And I picked this one up specifically, obviously it's got this gorgeous cloth-bound edition. Picked this one up specifically after watching the street poet Jaden's video on banned books for 2022. And he mentioned this book in there, and the controversy and about how it was completely banned. And then, when they managed to get it republished, they only had a limited amount of copies ever made, and they had them on the shelves. And all of a sudden, he was saying in his video that you would have everyone on the train and the streetcars and on the way to work reading Lady Chatterley's Lover, because it wasn't available for such a long time. And then it came out, and it sort of became this controversial pop culture icon by the sounds of it. So I cannot wait to get into this. Next up, we have some history books and some mythology books. Picked up The Diary of a Young Girl by Miss Anne Frank. Again, the types of history I like. There's Viking history, and I love medieval stuff as well, but I'm also really fascinated by history of Nazi Germany in World War II, and this is about, I'm assuming it's going to be a really, really hard read as well, but it's about Anne Frank, and when she was 13 years old in a Nazi occupation, a concentration camp, she actually wrote a diary, and when she managed to escape, she got it published through her father. So super keen. And then we have Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology. I've actually already started this. Super easy to read. This is Gaiman's retelling of the Norse myths, and the Viking mythologies, if you will, and it's written in just a way that's super easy to get through. And then when you're finished, you can tell yourself, oh, I know all these things about the Viking myths and the Norse myths, and he is just a brilliant writer. So I'm super excited to finish this. Like I said, I'm about 50 pages in and I'm already hooked. So absolutely incredible. What have we got here? Yeah, back to my passion for the French Revolution. We have The French Revolution by Stephen Clark. So, sorry for my lighting, I'm getting that sorted. I love this cover. I love how it's got, the crazy people of the French Revolution just walking around the streets all happy and dancing with the beheaded heads on the pikes there. Can't wait to get through this. This is a bit of a tome of a history book. I love the French Revolution. I did revolutions. I studied the French Revolution and the Russian Revolution in year 12 in high school, and the French Revolution really got to me because of how wild it was. It sort of bounced back from the monarchy to the people to the monarchy to the people, and it was just this crazy switching up of powers, and sort of they said they sort of became the very thing that they were fighting. So I'm just personally really fascinated by that and cannot wait to get started into this piece of nonfiction. Next up, we have another retelling. We have Stephen Fry's Mythos, the Greek myths retold. Similar to Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology, this is a retelling of the Greek myths. Zeus, we got Poseidon, Hades, all those things. The Pandora's box, Persephone, Athena, all these things. I love Greek history. I love Greek, medieval, Nazi Germany, and Nordic. They're kind of my thing when it comes to history. So super excited to get through these, and he's got a bunch of other ones as well. I've heard that his writing style, just like Neil Gaiman's, is just incredible. So and easy to get through. So I can't wait to learn more about those cultures through those magnificent writers. Next up, we have a book, another one that I think is going to be really hard to get through. But yeah, sort of linking with my fascination of Nazi Germany and the insaneness of just how barbaric that was. We have Volume 1, Ascent of Hitler. It's a biography, and this one's written by Volker Ullrich. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but this sort of goes into detail about Adolf Hitler's rise into power. And then Volume 2, which I haven't picked up yet, is about the downfall, about this hideous man. But I am fascinated by how people can be still so evil and barbaric in even like the 20th and 21st century. It's shocking. And like challenge books, that's why I think it's important to look at things like this. So looking forward to get to that one. Next up in September, I got I Want to Die, But I Want to Eat Tteokbokki by Baek Se-yi. I know I said in my channel intro that I was planning on starting this soon. I think I still am relatively soon. It is like a fictionalized biography, but I'm going to treat it as sort of like a bit of a non-fiction. It's about mental health and an interview with the author Baek Se-yi's psychiatrist, and sort of how she got over her depression and anxiety and hospitalization and things like that. So it is going to be a bit of a bitter read, but I think if I read it alongside a fiction and sort of treat this as non-fiction, it's going to help me as the reader sort of process it a lot better. Next up for spooky season for October, we have some Stephen King, the genius Stephen King. I just started this today. I finished On the Road by Jack Kerouac, and just in time for October, I'm starting some Stephen King for the horror spooky season. So I'm rereading Carrie. I read this when I was I want to say about 13, 14 years old, so I don't remember too much about it, but I do remember enjoying it a lot. And on this reread, as someone that, I'm a little bit more mature now, I can understand the sort of the growing up process and the adolescent themes that he's talking about here a little bit more, because I think I was sort of, like I said, 13, 14, possibly even 12, I'm not sure, when I read it. So a lot did go over my head, but that's the good thing about rereading incredible books like this. So yeah, that is Carrie. Still weighing up whether I'm going to do a review on that one. I was talking to some of my friends in the De Grave Circle. If you're not up to date with who the De Grave Circle are, it's a collection of poets and writers in Melbourne that do things together like that. Go check them out on Instagram. But yeah, I was talking to some of those guys about, does horror fall into the category of fantasy, and they said, because I was sort of like, oh, it's treated like a separate genre, and they said, yeah, I treat it as fantasy because it's still a fantastical world. There's still technically magic systems when it comes to sort of monsters and creatures and like carry telekinesis and stuff. It's still technically a magic system, even though it's quite there's spooky, scary stuff in there. So I might be reviewing that one. I'll see how we go. Next up, we have Salem's Lot by Stephen King. This is an amazing edition here by Hodder Press. I'm planning on going... I've had a look at a bunch of lists of Stephen King's work and what's the best way to jump into the multiverse and pick up on all the connections and what's going to be the most nourishing and rich way to read Stephen King's multiverse. And I've decided to just stick with chronological release order, his publication order. I think that way I can sort of start picking up on the little Easter eggs and the clues of the multiverse as Mr. King did when he wrote them. So I'm going to see what was going through his mind when he placed each little Easter egg. So I can't wait to get into that. I've never read this one, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you once again for watching. This has been a lot of fun doing this video. I'm, like I said in the start, I'm really hoping to be able to do something like this, at the end of every month, only if I, have enough money on top of, rent and all those things as well to get enough books to make this a satisfying video for you guys. But yeah, as a book collector, as a lot of you may know, we get a lot of books and then we end up having more books than we've actually read. But I've still got a few more years left, so I think I will have enough time to get through all of these. So this has been a lot of fun. Thank you for watching. Stay reading. Peace out.